There we go. I'm like, what is happening? Welcome to Shatter the Silence. This is Apostle Cheryl Richardson here, and we are going to bring you another broadcast. We want to try to tag some folks. There we go. We pray that you've been having an absolutely amazing day, and certainly if last week was challenging for you, we pray that you have experienced some relief and some restorative rest over the weekend, and that you are moving forward into next week feeling prepared to face whatever challenges await you, knowing that your God is able to strengthen you and to prepare you for whatever lies ahead. We are grateful for an opportunity to come before you again this week. We've been doing weekly Facebook Lives now for a few months at the Lord's direction. We're going to go ahead and get some of you tagged so that you can know that we're on. And we appreciate your support. And for those of you who sow, we appreciate that as well. As we have stated previously, the vision that the Lord has given us has expanded and continued to expand. I'm sure it looks the same to him, but what he's been revealing to us, he's kind of done it, over time and in steps, probably so as not to totally freak me out. So I appreciate his patience and his long suffering towards me. So I'm going to tag as many of you as I can. And if you would share, I would greatly appreciate it. We're going to be talking about domestic violence in the holidays on today. And we've got 19 or 20 videos out here on social media. So feel free to view them. Feel free to share them on your social media platforms. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Hey, Ree. OC, how are you? My dear friend, I miss you. Miss you. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about domestic violence in the holidays. And there are kind of myths out there. There are things out there that we believe that aren't accurate, that have not been established statistically. All right, and it's important if we're going to address an issue, any issue, that we accurately define the extent to which the issue is impacting us negatively. And that we identify what we'd like things to look like instead, right? And so, once again, I appreciate you taking the time to join us on today. We're going to be talking about domestic violence and the holidays. And we've got many, many, many topics out there. Thanks, OC. There are so many topics that we've covered. We've recently covered teen dating violence. We've talked about trauma bonding. We've talked about safety planning. We've talked about coercive control. We've talked about I've left my abuser, but I'm a mess. So God has charged us to educate as many of us as possible. And you can help by just simply sharing the video. Share it on every social media platform that you have. That's okay with us. The more that we can educate people, the better. And for those of us who are believers who may be wondering, well, why is all this stuff happening? Why are we being deluged with domestic violence and human trafficking and child sexual assault, even within the church? And it's because we have not fully turned our hearts toward the Lord, all right? And if we would do that, we're supposed to be salt and light. We are commanded to be salt and light. And so it wasn't a suggestion. It's who God has called us to be. And so the world won't get itself together as long as we're a hot mess. Okay, now, those of you who know me personally know that I'm not particularly concerned about being popular. That's not a concern that I have, right? I am a prophet of the Lord. I'm an apostle in the Lord's church. And so it's my responsibility to speak truth to power. And if you're a believer, it's your responsibility as well. Not just those of us who walk in a fivefold ministry office, but every believer has a responsibility to someone other than just themselves. That old, us four and no more. Only what happens in my house is what matters to me. it's kind of how we've gotten to the condition that we're in right now. And so there needs to be a greater outpouring of concern for mankind in general, beyond our own circle of friends and loved ones, all right? Because I'm going to tell you, if all of us aren't free, then we're not really free anyway. We're not really free anyway. So we want to continue on our mission to help folk get free from whatever binds them up, whatever causes them to live beneath their privilege, whatever causes them to feel less than who God has called them to be, all right? We are all somebody in Him. We have a mission, an assignment, a destiny that the Lord planned for us before the foundation of the world. And He knew us before we were even shaped in our mother's womb. And so He's equipping us, and He has equipped us to address the things that are occurring around us. We have to avail ourselves of the information. We have to educate ourselves. The Bible declares that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And as you hear me say almost every single week, there's not a period after that. There's a semicolon, which means He wasn't finished. That's an incomplete thought. But oftentimes you'll hear people preach and minister from just that's piece of that scripture. The rest of it says, because thou hast rejected knowledge. So it's not simply the lack of knowledge that causes us to become ensnared. It's when we are presented with an opportunity to know and we reject it, right? We reject it. We don't accept it. We don't receive it. We make excuses to stay the same. We make excuses to cast blame elsewhere. We make excuses not to hold ourselves accountable, all right? Hey, Minister Kathy. And so God wants us to stop making excuses. Domestic violence is greater, it's higher in the church than outside the church. And that should not be. As long as that is the case, we can't get a handle on it outside the church. We are salt and we are light. All right. The world is not going to rise beyond where those of us who name the name of Christ are standing in the natural and in the realm of the spirit. And so it's important that we get back to being the church and being who God has called us to be. And it's not about how many hind parts you can get in some seats on Sunday. That is not it. That's not it. That is not church. The church is in us. All right. And so it's time for us to be a little less concerned about if our purse matches our shoes, a little less concerned about getting a new dress, a new suit, a little less concerned about getting a new car, and more concerned about souls and what is happening to people who are worshiping with us, sitting right next to us on a pew, and then they're going home and they're getting cursed out. They're going home and they're getting slapped around. They're going home and they work 40 hours a week, but they have no control whatsoever over their own paycheck. All right? They are being manhandled, and men can be victims as well. And so this is happening, and then on Sunday, everybody gets all dressed up and everybody comes on back to the house of God. Faking, not being real. Hey, Dexter, so it's important that the church get back to being the church. The church is not the place where we're supposed to be held hostage by predators, okay? And in a lot of instances, this is what's happening. This past year, we've had numerous pastors arrested, tried, and convicted of human trafficking, child sexual assault, and their wives were involved as well, all right? So it's time for us to wake up and stay woke. All right, we got to get back to policing ourselves. We've got to hold one another accountable, okay? Some of the things that I see posted on social media, I'm like, you're a man of God and you went live with that. And then the next day it's still there. So it's not even like you had a moment, made a horrible decision, and posted something. You left it up there. What is wrong with us? So we have got to get back to being who we're supposed to be to people. We have got to be in position, and we've got to think past our own address, okay? Now, like I said before, those of you who know me know I have absolutely no concern about being popular. It's never been a desire of mine. I'm really concerned about pleasing God and ensuring that I have released to you what He's commanded me to release. Now, let me explain to you how the anointing that rests on me works, okay? Yes, I am a prophet of God. Yes, I am an apostle in the Lord's church. Having said that, I'm not the nice one that he sends first when you first start cutting up. I'm not the one that he sends. He don't send me then. I don't get the, now you know you need to. That's not the message he gives me. Somebody else gets that. All right, but it's not me. All right. When he sends me, it's because the nice people have come and they've been rejected. The nice people have come. The demure, sweet, polite people who love Jesus have come and they've been ignored. They've been dismissed. All right. So then he changes it up a little bit. Just like in any warfare situation when you're not getting the reaction that you're after, right? When he puts a word in my mouth and it just locks down in my spirit and he is training me, he's got me hiking and kickboxing 5 days a week, no matter what. He's not playing. He's not playing. So, you know, on the surface, I'm sharing information. In the realm of the spirit, what's actually happening, right? And if you've been on here too long, it's too late for you to jump off and act like you don't know. It's just too late. If you've ever seen any one of our videos, it's too late for you. There is no explanation that you can give God that he's going to be okay with if you remain complacent about this issue in his church and in society. You are without excuse. My job is to leave folk without excuse. My job is to ensure that they are presented an opportunity to be educated so that they can then align themselves with the will of God for their household, for their community, for their nation, all right, for society at large. And so when you see me coming, it's education time. And the nice people have been ignored. You know, you've seen it on social media. You say, oh, that's so sad. You put a little sad face and you keep on scrolling. You don't think about it anymore. Okay? Now, there are people who listen to those people. There are people who listen to those people. But there's a whole lot of people who don't listen to those people. All right? They don't take them seriously. They don't absorb what they are saying. And they are sent by God as well. Okay? But everybody's not assigned everybody's voice. So he's got somebody for everybody. Okay? And I'm just saying that I just realized a couple of weeks ago that he's had me on this for 2 years. I didn't even realize that it'd been this long that I'd been talking about this, all right? And he's amped it up now. And he's increasing the amount of education that's being made being made available to you. I'm posting it online. It's available to you 24/7. You have access to me through my inbox. There are many other agencies out there that I am connected with, that I have referred you to, that I post their information, I share their information. And so my assignment is to ensure that those who truly care about what God is saying are equipped to go forth and get some other folk free. And that those who have no intention of doing what God is saying are left with no excuse. I can't make it any plainer than that. If you're watching these videos and you're tuning into these other sites and getting this information and doing nothing with it, that's a conversation you're going to have with God. I can't even help you. I can't help you. I can't help you. All right? So, if you haven't been doing what you're supposed to be doing, how can you get involved? Number one, repent for being complacent because it hasn't affected you. What we don't understand from a spiritual standpoint is this. When we become complacent and we don't really care how things are being affecting the body of Christ, and we don't really care about how others are being affected, we invite that same catastrophe to our own address, to our own family members. Okay? All right? What is it going to take for us to care from an authentic place? Not from a superficial place, not from a politically correct place, but from an authentic place, from a place of authenticity where it breaks our heart, okay? Because it breaks God's heart. What is it going to take to get us there? Because I can assure you that that can happen. It is completely up to us most times how much we have to go through, how much we have to contend with, all right? And so we just need to get in position, repent for being complacent, not doing all that we can. So what can you do from a practical standpoint? You can sow, whether it is into our platform or someone else that is doing something about injustice, You can sow, and you can do it on a regular basis, okay? You can sacrifice and you can sow. You can share the broadcast on every single social media platform that you have, and you can share it more than once. You can do a watch party. You don't even have to stay in the watch party. You can set up a watch party with a series of videos and go on with your life. Amen. So there's plenty of things that we can do. You can connect with one of these organizations and ask, how can I help? What do you need for me to do? You can make an assessment of your own skill set and decide, this is what I'm good at. All right. Can you use this skill set to help you in your mission to stop domestic violence? Hey, Pam, there's something for everybody to do. There is something for everybody to do. You can come on, you can participate, you can answer questions, you can comment, you can invite others to come on, you can share it when it's over. Okay, and the videos, I don't take them down, so you can access them every week on a Saturday or a Sunday. And lately it's been Sunday, so most likely it'll be a Sunday. Okay, and you can share the video, and you can talk to other people. You can apply what you're learning from these videos. Okay, so there is no excuse for not being involved. Absolutely no excuse. Okay. No excuse. So when you see me coming, your excuse has just exited the building. All right. So today we're going to talk about domestic violence and the holidays. It's important for us to understand. It's important for us to understand that, number one, the holidays in and of itself are not necessarily a joy-filled time for many people. For many people. Many people pretend to be happy and filled with joy and enthusiasm, and they're not. Okay, so keeping that in mind as we move into what we observe as the holiday season, understand that the fact that a person is smiling and baking cookies and making a menu for a holiday dinner does not mean that they're okay. It does not. Okay, and so let's look out for each other and let's take care of each other. Now, having said that, that's just mankind in general. We're going to look at domestic violence. There's a long-standing belief that over the holidays, right, especially right before Thanksgiving and into the first week of the new year, that there's a spike in domestic violence. Okay? So many believe that there's a spike in domestic violence. What do you think? Those of you who are on here now, do you think that there's a spike in domestic violence during the holidays? I don't see anybody typing anything. Do you think that there is a spike in domestic violence during the holidays? That's a question that I'm asking. Hey, Elkie. Listen, Lady Nicole Sharp, thanks for tuning in. Blessings to you. Listen, is there a spike in domestic violence during the holidays? What do you think? Yes or no? Yes or no? Type yes or no. We're going to talk about it. I'm not going to ask you a question and not answer it. That's for sure. Okay? Is there a spike in domestic violence during the holidays? Now, the people that I know that are watching are not quiet people. I'm not saying nothing. Okay. So there's a long-standing belief, right, that it increases during the holiday season, that it spikes. And it is believed and it is presumed. What does it say? Yes, increased demands, a tradition they can't afford. Okay. So, okay. Thanks, Ree. So, Maria is saying that yes, it increases because of the demands or traditions that they can't afford. And so that's a common belief. Thank you for responding. Hey, V. That's a common belief. So it's important. It's important for you to know that although it may be true, I'm going to talk to you about why it's not quite true. There's no statistical data that supports that. As a matter of fact, the data that's available to us suggests the opposite. Remember how underreported domestic violence is normally, all right? And so it's presumed that family tensions, right, financial stressors, which Marie just mentioned, an increase in alcohol consumption and other substances that are mind-altering leads to spikes in the holiday season. Now, the problem with believing this, the problem with believing this is that it presumes that the reason for domestic violence is family tensions. I'm trying to wait to y'all. Okay. It's family tensions, substance abuse, financial stressors, and traditions that they can no longer afford or whatever. And because we believe that these are the reasons for domestic violence, we don't approach it properly. None of these are reasons for domestic violence. Substance abuse is not a reason for domestic violence, okay? Financial stressors is not a reason for domestic violence. There is no good reason for it, except that the abuser chooses to exert power and control over their partner. That's it. It's a choice. It's a choice. Now, these other things exacerbate it because it provides the abuser in their mind with an excuse, and many victims accept these things as an excuse. Okay, so it's like the perfect storm. Everybody's accepting these things as reasons, when in fact they are choices that are made. There are many people who abuse substances who are not domestic violence perpetrators. There are many people who have financial stressors who don't then in turn beat their partner, mistreat their children. Okay, so it's not a reason, and as long as we accept these things as a reason for it, we're allowing excuses to prevail, and it diminishes the degree of accountability that a perpetrator is held to. Okay, even by way of the victim. Okay, so there's no statistical evidence to support that the holidays cause a spike. I'm going to talk to you about why it goes in the other direction. Okay, remember, in order for us to categorize and to gather statistics, we are talking about what's been reported. And we've already said that domestic violence is horribly underreported, whether the victim is male or female. And this is an issue worldwide, according to the United Nations. Every nation that struggles with this issue knows that they don't have all the information because it is very, very much underreported for a variety of reasons, all of which are very similar from nation to nation. Okay? All right. Talked about that. I write things down to make sure that I touch on everything that I need to touch on. Okay. So domestic violence is the result of an intimate partner choosing to utilize coercive control. And we've talked about that in a separate domestic violence video, right? So they're choosing to use coercive control to exercise power over the victim. It's not the result of having a bad day. It's not the result of getting a pink slip at work. It's not the result of one too many shots of whiskey, one too many shots of tequila, one too many puffs off a blunt. That's not the reason. The reason is this person chooses to use coercive control. They choose to exert power and control over their victim. Okay, it is a silent attack. That's right. That it is deadly. It is absolutely correct. All right. Hey, Lynn. So let's get away from assigning reasons for it, other than the perpetrator choosing to behave this way. Okay. Other than the perpetrator choosing to behave this way. Okay, if we're going to get ahead of it, we've got to define it and classify it properly. We've talked about that before. Even in terms of spiritual warfare, if you're going to address something even effectively in prayer, you've got to be able to identify. You can't take to God what you think the problem may be, sorta, kinda. Okay, that's not strategic prayer. You've got to be able to identify, this is an issue, this is why it's an issue, and this is what I'd like for you to do about it. Amen. Okay, that's strategic prayer. And we don't need to fix it and put a bow on it and spray cologne on it before we address it. We need to be able to address and understand exactly what it is the problem is. What is the root of the problem? The root of the problem during the holidays and any other time is that the perpetrator has an abusive personality and they choose to exert power and control in varying degrees, all right, over their partner. Over their partner. That's the reason. Stop telling yourself it's because they're drinking, it's because they're using. If it wasn't in there, it couldn't come out. It's who they are. It's who they are. And for some of us, that means accepting that we've aligned ourselves, connected ourselves to become one with whatever that ugliness is, that's what we did. Okay? And we've got to be able to accept responsibility for our own choices as well. Okay? All right. We're still talking about domestic violence and the holidays. It's difficult to measure the frequency of DV because it is so grossly underreported, as I've already stated, by both female and male victims in the first place. So, again, any statistic that you read anywhere, whether it's on my platform, a different platform, it's based on what's been reported, okay? It's based on what's been reported. And it's our hope that more people who are experiencing this will report so that we can have reliable information to share, all right? Reliable information that we can use in order to prevent it and to mitigate it and to help people become safe in their day-to-day life, all right? What we can measure is if there is an increase in victims reaching out, right, by contacting the police or a shelter or a hotline or a domestic violence advocate. So we can measure if there's an increase in victims reaching out, whether they're male or female, all right? We can't measure the frequency of it during the holidays because it's underreported. So whatever we have, it's incomplete information. So let's look at measuring an increase in victims reaching out. And so that's what we can talk about. Over the past 10 years, right, the call volume on Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day was lower by far than on an average day. I'm going to say that again. Over the past 10 years, okay, we've been watching this now, the call volume on Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day was lower by far than an average day. Why do you think that is? You all have any thoughts about why you think that might be the case? Why do you think that the call is lower on those specified holidays than any other time? Which is the complete opposite of what people believe. Why would it be lower? Anybody want to take a run at that? Anybody surprised to hear that the call volume is lower? Understand that it does not mean that the violence has decreased. Okay, that's two different things. There's the violence occurring. There's being victimized. That's one thing. And then there's reporting it. That's a completely different thing. Okay? That's a completely different thing. So there's the violence that can occur, and then there's the reporting it, which is two separate things altogether. It can occur and occur and occur and occur and not be reported, right? It can occur and occur and occur, hey Ken, and then not be reported, which means there wouldn't be a statistic that included it or captured it, all right? But as I've just told you, on those specified days, the call volume is lower, okay? Anybody want to take a guess at why? Just think about it for a second. Why do you think the call volume will be lower? I've just said that the abuse occurring is one thing. It being reported is another thing, right? And we can only count what is reported. And the call volume is lower during those 17 days or so between like Thanksgiving and New Year's. And this is over the past 10 years. So this is an established pattern. All right. For example, in 2015, the National Domestic Violence Hotline received an average of 837 calls a day. If anybody wants to try to capture this information, I'll love you forever because I can't type and talk to y'all at the same time. It's an attempt not to, right, Jakayla, it's an attempt not to ruin the holiday. Again, we have to be careful how we define these things, right? We have to be careful how we define these things. Hey, Pam, it's an attempt not to ruin the holiday. So how's a holiday ruined? By reporting domestic violence. Anybody? How is the holiday possibly ruined by reporting it? Hey, man of God. How is the holiday possibly ruined? And again, we have to look at, hey, Vic, we've got to look at how we're defining things, right? Ruined by whose definition? By whose definition? Ruined by whose definition says that reporting the fact that you are mistreating me, that you are abusing me, that you are beating me, you are punching me, strangling me, right? How am I ruining the holiday by reporting that? You see how we think? You see how we think? And so oftentimes the victim assumes the mindset of the perpetrator. And that means that you're accepting their definition for what ruin is. How about maybe ruining is getting beat up on the holiday? Maybe that ruins it. You see what I'm saying? But the viewpoint isn't that it's ruined if you get beat up. The viewpoint has been accepted that it's ruined if you report it and make it stop. All right, we're going to keep going. All right, so the National Domestic Violence Hotline received an average of 837 calls a day, all right, in 2015. On Christmas Eve, that number dropped to 530. So normally they received 837 on average calls, all right. That number dropped to 530 on Christmas Eve. And on Christmas Day, there were only 450 calls. That's almost half the calls that they normally get on a day-to-day basis. Over the 17-day period around Christmas in 2015, the hotline received 12% fewer calls compared to an average 17-day period. All right? Received 12% fewer calls. This flies in the face. Okay, so everybody believes that it spikes, but there's no statistics to support this because it's so severely underreported. And it's already underreported, and it's greatly underreported around the holidays. And we're going to look at this, and we're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about why. It does not mean that it's not happening, okay? Why are there fewer calls during the holiday season, okay? Jakayla just mentioned that it's an attempt not to ruin the holiday. I challenge you to think about how you define things as you've moved through life. Whose definition are you accepting? Who decides what ruin is? And who decided that getting beat up on Christmas, all right, is not ruining the holiday? Who decided that reporting that you're getting beat up on Christmas Day is ruining the holiday? Like, who decided that? And why do we accept that? All right? Why do we accept whatever definition is shoved in front of us? Okay? So it's important that each of us assume responsibility for our own thought process, that we think things through and question and challenge things that maybe we've always accepted without even thinking about it twice, okay? One primary reason that people stay in abusive relationships is their children. People stay in horrible marriages for their children. Right? For their children. Which is what they tell themselves. Which is what they tell themselves. All right? One primary reason that people stay in abusive relationships is their children. They don't want to ruin Christmas for their children. They don't want to ruin New Year's for their children. All right? Now let's just think about this. If mom or dad, because either partner, right, can be the victim, either partner can be the abuser. But mom is getting beat up by dad. And Johnny has a brand new Tonka truck under the tree. And it's going to ruin Johnny's Christmas if dad is forced to stop beating mom. Let's just think about this for a minute. Not only are we accepting a crazy definition for ruining a holiday, what we are teaching Johnny while he's playing with his Tonka truck under the Christmas tree is that it's okay for one of your parents to beat the other one and call them out of their name. And all of this is supposed to happen during the holidays, when we're supposed to be, if we're talking about Christmas, right, honoring the birth of Christ. What are we doing? Whose definition are we accepting for ruining a holiday? I'm going to ruin the holiday if I call the police because they're going to take the abuser away. And I don't know, we can all go to sleep without being scared tonight. That's the new definition for ruining the holiday. Think about it. And a lot of these things are things that we have just come to accept over time. You know what I mean? And we're not thinking about it. We're not thinking it through. Okay? Ruining the holiday, if you listen to a perpetrator, is calling the police and getting them arrested. It's sharing with a domestic violence advocate that you're going through that at all. It's sharing with a trusted confidant that you are being mistreated and that you are afraid for your life. Okay? We've got to think and stop just drifting into things because it's what we've always believed. Okay? So again, there's no statistical data that supports that there's a spike in domestic violence over the holidays. Now, go back to what I said in the very beginning. Substance abuse is not an excuse. Pink slip at work, not an excuse. Dog bit you, not an excuse. A person is abusive because they choose to exercise control and power over another human being. Point blank, period. Full stop. That's why it happens. All right? So if you can accept that that's what they're choosing to do, then understand that their mindset is no different during the holiday than any other day. It's immaterial to them what day it is. It's what they do. It's how they try to make themselves feel better. It's how they try to make themselves feel powerful. So Christmas Day is just like any other day. The increased power that they may get is that the victim may believe, well, I need to just take this and just suck this up because for me to do anything, for me to stand up for myself, for me to develop a safety plan, for me to take steps to make myself and my children safe, whether it be the man or the woman, will be ruining the holiday. Okay, so do you see how listening to the wrong definition can keep us in bondage no matter what we are bound by? All right? Substance abuse is no excuse. All right? Dropped on your head at birth, no excuse. You are choosing to be abusive. You are choosing to exercise power and control over another human being. Okay? Apparently, you feel that if you ask them, they would say no. Enter domestic violence. Okay? All right. So pressure to not break the family up over the holidays. Again, much of what keeps us bound are our misplaced cultural beliefs, often anchored in misappropriated scripture. I could do a whole Facebook Live just on that. Okay? So pressure not to break the family up. Let's look at this. If you're in an abusive situation and you've been cursed out, talked about, don't have your own paycheck, got GPS on your car, whatever that looks like at your house. If you are being victimized, hey Deborah, hey Steph, if you are being victimized by domestic violence, right? But there's pressure not to break up the family. Here's my question. How is you're being mistreated, called out of your name, strangled, beaten, right? Cursed out, embarrassed in front of your children. How was that not breaking the family up? When did it become that breaking the family up is stopping this craziness? When did we start accepting that? When did we start accepting that as long as on the outside we appear to be together, that's all that matters? Everybody's dying inside, but let's just keep this facade going, okay? Let's just keep this facade going. We've got to understand what definition we're embracing, and it's important. I challenge you. It doesn't matter who told you. You could be your grandmama. I'm telling you, our elders told us what they believed to be right. So you can't fault them for that. They told us what they believed to be right. All right? You've got to look at your culture. You have to look at what their motivation was for telling you those things, right? And so for African Americans, a lot of it is just still like a slavery mindset. It's still trauma bonding. It's still just submit, no matter, just submit. All right? And it's misappropriated scripture. It's scripture that was shoved down our throats as slaves hundreds of years ago, where they took out whole sections of the Bible and only taught us those things that said that we should submit. If you don't believe me, Google the slave's Bible. A lot of the word of God wasn't even fed to us, given to us, taught to us. What was drilled into us was submission. No matter how you're treated, you just submit. No matter how you're talked to, you just take it. All right? And that's being a good parent. And that, and so when you look at that backdrop, many of our elders told us things that they had to do to just simply stay alive in their day. All right? To simply stay alive. We've progressed some since then. Okay, we're not as far as we ought to be, but we are not back there. Okay, and so it's time for us to hold ourselves accountable for being educated. No matter how much melanin you have or don't have, no matter what your complexion is, no matter what your cultural background is, we have a responsibility to educate ourselves. And what God is doing is releasing those voices in the earth that will bring this education to your cell phone. You don't even have to go nowhere to get it. To your phone, to your iPad, to your computer, in a recording. You can watch it however many times you want. You can watch it whenever you want to. You know what I'm saying? You have access to it all of the time. You don't have to wait until Sunday morning at 10 o'clock to hear about this stuff. So he's making it available to us so that we can get ahead of it and do something about it, okay? The domestic violence that is rampant in ministries across denominational lines are an affront to God. He's not okay with it. He's not okay with it. He's not okay with it. And we shouldn't be okay with it either, okay? We're still talking about domestic violence in the holidays. So pressure not to break the family up. As though being in an abusive situation is not breaking the family up. Okay, anybody outside the family might have an illusion that the family is amazing. I mean, our family looked amazing from the outside. Amazing. We had cutting edge everything. Pretty house, newest renovations. But it was something else when that door closed. Okay, I'm telling you what I know. All right. The need to maintain a facade, okay, or front for family and friends, all right? And then family traditions being carried out. Well, we're going to all get together for Thanksgiving dinner, and we just have to get through the dinner. And so, as you go through the dinner, hey, Apostle, my Apostle's on, Apostle Ron Tolliver. So as you hold on to this family tradition, you're perpetrating a lie. You are perpetrating a lie. But these are the things that keep us silent when we are experiencing abuse during the holiday season. So again, the belief that domestic violence spikes is not statistically supported. All right? We can only talk about what is reported. And what is happening, what we've noticed over the past 10 years, is almost a 50% decrease in the number of calls that are received by advocates, hotlines, etc. over the holidays. And some of the reasons that we've identified, frankly, are rooted in manipulation. Manipulation. And accepting the perpetrator's definition for what ruining a family is, for what breaking up a family is, for, you're listening to the one who's destroying you. And you're using their baseline that they're telling you how to keep yourself safe, right? And it's impossible to do it the way that they're telling you to do it. So it's a setup. It's a setup, all right? So communication is important. And if you find yourself, if you're in a domestic violence relationship, if you have any questions, you can watch any one of our videos. It will help to make it clear to you if you're in an abusive situation or not, okay? But the thing is, safety planning is especially important for those who are embroiled in a domestic violence situation. And maybe you're not ready to leave, and maybe you believe that they can change. And it's not our mission to debate with you about your readiness. What our assignment is to ensure that you have education, that you have information so that you can implement, right, whatever safety planning you need to implement to keep you and your loved ones safe. All right? Communication is important. All right? To mitigate the isolation. What you don't want to do if you're in a situation in which you know you're not truly safe is you don't want to isolate from people. You don't want to isolate. Somebody needs to know what is really going on, okay? Someone that you can trust that's not connected to the abuser, who is not overly impressed with the abuser, who is not intimidated by the abuser, okay? Someone that can stand on their own 2 feet and not be swayed by anything that the abuser is saying to them. Someone needs to know, all right? Call a DV advocate, call a domestic violence hotline. You can chat with them. There are so many different avenues for help anymore that there's no reason for you to be isolated, okay? Make a plan for regular check-ins. Someone close to you, someone that knows what's going on, needs to be able to check in. You need to be able to check in. When I'm dealing with people in these situations, I tell them I need to hear from you every so many hours. If I don't, I'm doing something else. I need to hear from you, okay? You need to let me know that you're okay, all right? So make a plan for regular check-ins both during and right after the holidays, okay? Make sure that you do that, all right? It may be safer to text and email as long as the abuser does not have your password, right? Or they do not have keystroke technology on your devices, all right? So you want to be mindful of that as well, all right? Create a code word and define what action must be taken when it is used. For example, if I say, I sure wished I made spaghetti, and that's the code sentence, that's the code word that we agreed upon, you need to know what I'm actually saying to you when I say that. That is something that I can say in the abuser's presence, and they'll have no idea what I'm talking about. But you need to know, if you're my person, what do I mean by that? If I say to you, I wish I'd made spaghetti, does that mean that you need to call the police? Does that mean I want you to come over? What does it mean? Does it mean that I'm afraid they're going to kill me? Things have escalated. I no longer feel safe. What specifically does it mean? So we're still talking about being able to define what it is we're looking at. And it's important that those who want to assist us know how to assist us, right? Without making things worse. All right. So you want to make sure you maintain communication. You want to make sure you have regular check-ins. You want to create a code word that only you and those trusted people know what it is. And make sure that you have specified what action is to be taken. You may need more than one code word. You may need one code word for come over. You may need another code word for there's a weapon in the house. You may need a different code word for call the police. You may need a completely different one. I'm injured. I need an ambulance. Okay? So you want to think about this. You want to have a plan. And if you have a safety plan, no matter if you're exiting, actively exiting, if you're planning to stay, you especially need one. Okay? If you left and it's been a month, you still need one, because 30 to 90 days after, you are in increased, heightened danger. And there are statistics to prove that. Okay? So it's important. All right. Traveling. Oftentimes we travel during the holidays, okay? Make sure that your loved ones know what the itinerary is. Send them a copy of the flight schedule, the hotels, the route that you all plan to take, the address that you're supposed to end up at, okay? When you're departing, where you may consider stopping. Make sure that you share that information so that people can know immediately if something's not right. Okay? All right. What else if you're traveling? Okay, make sure that a trusted person who will not be influenced by your partner has a copy of your important documents, your passport, your birth certificate, your driver's license, your visa if you're traveling internationally. Make sure that someone else has a copy of these things, okay? Maintain a secret stash of money that you can access for travel, or a hotel if needed. If you're on a road trip with an abusive partner and you get dropped, pushed out the car, you get left at a gasoline stop or whatever, these things happen, all right? You want to be able to get a hotel room. You want to be able to reach out to loved ones so that someone knows what has happened and someone can lend you assistance, okay? Be aware of domestic violence resources in the area. Now, if you're in an abusive situation and you figured out that you're in an abusive situation and you go on this trip to keep the peace, to not ruin the holiday, to not disrupt family tradition or whatever. Do your due diligence. What DV resources are in the area that you are passing through, and what DV resources are in the area at your destination? Okay? Who is there that can lend assistance if it's needed? Okay? Now, there's a website that I want to share with you. It's www, if somebody would put this up, that would be awesome. www.womenslaw.org. All right? And they have a directory of DV shelters in the U.S., state by state. Again, it's www.womenslaw.org. Okay? Prepare a list of hotels. Get a feel for where the hotels are along the route that you're going, in case you are left at a stop, in case you are pushed out of the vehicle or whatever. Okay? So that you have an idea of where you can go. Know the list of emergency numbers for your locations, all right? And then I'm going to come back on later and post some other information. The number for the hotline, the domestic violence hotline, here in the States is 1-800-799-7233 or 1-800-799-SAFE. In the United Kingdom, it is Women's Aid, and you can call them at 0808-2000-247. In Australia, you can call 1-800-RESPECT. That's 1-800-737-732. And then worldwide, you can visit the International Directory of Domestic Violence Agencies, which is a global list of shelters, helplines, and crisis centers. Okay? If you are concerned about your personal safety while traveling with the abuser, you want to explore your options. Think about your health care, which you have available. Thanks, Deborah, for posting that. What type of insurance you have, what facilities in the area will accept your insurance. Now, you might be thinking, well, I shouldn't have to do all of that. If you're traveling with someone who's already been abusive, and certainly if they've already been physically abusive, you want to think about your access to medical care if it is needed while you are traveling. Okay? Ask your provider before you even leave what they would need from you in the event that something happened while you were away. Hey, Deontay, in the event that something happened to you, say there was an altercation while you are away from home, while you are traveling, what would your general practitioner, what would your medical provider need in order to release your medical history to others? Do they need a release? Then you want to sign a release of information for your provider, right? Before you leave. Let them know where you'll be going. So that way, if something happens and your medical records are needed to ensure the best medical care for you, then that is in position. Now, it might be freaking you out that I'm sharing all of this, but these are all the things that you want to consider if you're going to stay connected, and certainly if you're going to be in a vehicle with the abuser in an enclosed space for a long period of time. Okay? If you do make a report to a healthcare professional, ask if a copy can be given to you and if a copy can be sent to a safe address. All right? Again, you want to make sure that someone besides you knows what's going on. If you don't have insurance, or if your insurance doesn't offer affordable care options in the areas in which you will be traveling, research information about those facilities that may offer sliding fee scales. Okay? Sliding scale. And then there is, if you go to this website, I'm going to give you this one, www.healthcenter.hrsa.gov. www.healthcenter.hrsa.gov. Okay, that is a website for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and they can provide for you a list of facilities in your area that offer a sliding scale fee. So if you know where you're going and you know you're traveling with an abusive person, your partner's abusive, then you want to know that you can be taken care of. You want to know that your loved ones know where you are, that they know what the planned route was, that they know when you plan to leave and when you plan to come back. They know what you are traveling in and all of that. They got the tag number. All of that information needs to be shared with someone that you trust. And again, someone who's not closely associated, enamored with, impressed by the abuser, or intimidated by the abuser. Okay? Let's talk about your emotional safety. Okay, we're almost done here. So emotional safety planning is important during the holidays as well. Seek out a supportive person. Okay, if you've not done that, that's your assignment from me to you. Seek out a supportive person. You don't have to seek out a whole committee of people. Okay, if you talk to too many people, somebody's going to talk to the abuser. So seek out a supportive person. Identify and work toward achievable goals. Okay, baby steps. Achievable goals. It's important that if a goal is meaningful, that it is achievable. And again, allow yourself to take baby steps. Create a peaceful space for yourself. All right. And this, I can tell you from personal experience, this may need to be an internal thing. Depending on your circumstances, it may be difficult for you to get time alone. You may be left alone in the shower. You may be left alone in the bathtub. Your alone time may be while they're at work during the day. But it's important that you carve out a physical space or an internal space where you pray or meditate. For me, I just would submerge myself in worship music, and it strengthened me. And if it is internal, the advantage to it being internal is you can access it anytime, right? You can access it anytime. And it's important that you carve that out for yourself, okay? So create a peaceful place for yourself. You can do this by journaling. If you journal, make sure that the abuser does not have access to it, okay? You can put it in notes on your phone and password protected. Lots of different things that you can do. Okay. So journaling or doing a video log, like a video journal where you just turn on the video and share your thoughts, share your feelings, share your concerns, share what's been going on, but get it out so that you can continue to move forward. Okay. Listening to calming music. For me, it was worship music. Prayer, meditation, affirmations, exercise is critical. Even today, before I came on today, I hiked 3 miles by myself, right, on a trail. That's a trail in the woods. I hiked for 3 miles. And I hike 5 days a week. And I do it to maintain a center of balance. I do it because I pray while I'm out there. I do it because I feel amazing when I come back, right? And so when I'm not doing that, I'm kickboxing. So it's important that you identify things that help you to feel strengthened and encouraged and empowered. All right. And then be kind to you and practice self-care. Now, we've been talking about domestic violence in the holidays, and it's important. Here's what I want you to remember. And here's what I want you to know. And I'm excited about this resource. So if Deborah's still on here, maybe she'll type it for me. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay. So there is an organization that's called Safe, and I'm so excited about this. Safe in Harm's Way. Safe in Harm's Way, okay? If you text the word SAFE, text the word SAFE to 55741. Text the word SAFE to 55741 in order to get a link to Safe in Harm's Way. What this is an amazing resource because you get the link and you can do some research and get a background on folks. Have they had a restraining order against them? I mean, this is amazing. I'm telling you. So this is something, text the word SAFE, S-A-F-E, to 55741. For many, what needs to happen is do your due diligence before you get connected to these folks. Do your due diligence before the first date. It doesn't have to be that you've dated them for 6 months, that you've dated them for 4 months. People have been murdered who've been dating the person who killed them for 2 or 3 months. How intensely emotionally involved is a healthy person going to get in 3 months? Okay, so it's not about if it makes sense to you, the victim. You've got to look at it from their perspective. The moment they've decided that they've invested enough that you now owe them something, whether that is an expensive first date, whether that is they brought you expensive jewelry 2 months in, or they took you on an expensive vacation, it's all about what they're telling themselves. This conversation doesn't even involve you, okay? Doesn't even involve you, okay? Hey, Chiquita. Thanks, Deborah, so much for doing that, for texting that, typing that in. So you can't view it from your perspective. You've got to view it from the perspective of the abuser. They feel entitled. They feel that you are property and that they own you and that you do not have a voice. They don't know who told you you had one. And they are on a mission to ensure that you are clear that you don't have one at all. Okay? So you want to exit an abusive situation as early as possible before they really feel like they've got evidence to substantiate how much they've done for you. Okay? That it just gets worse the longer that you're in it. So we're talking about domestic violence in the holidays. And I started this by asking, who believed that domestic violence spikes during the holidays? All right. And someone said, yes, because of family pressures and things that they can't afford and keeping family traditions and things like that. And that is a common belief. What I want you to leave this broadcast knowing is that there's no statistic that establishes that. As a matter of fact, over the past 10 years, we've looked at this, and it turns out that there is a decrease, okay, during the period of the holidays, the 17-day period between like Thanksgiving and New Year's Day, that there is a sharp decrease. There are 12% fewer calls during the holidays than any other 17-day period during the year. And the reason that we've identified is many abuse victims erroneously feel that they are ruining the family if they report it during the holidays. They're not considering that the holiday is ruined when you got punched in the face. The holiday is ruined when you got cursed out, when you got slapped, when you were threatened, when you were intimidated. All right? They're buying the perpetrator's belief that the holiday is being ruined when you report it. So it's not being reported. Okay? And so that is a tremendous gaslighting technique that is used. It's a coercive control technique that is used. What can happen, though, what we have noticed is right after the holidays, that first week in January, the calls start ratcheting up again. Because now the victim's like, okay, we got through Christmas. Okay, we got through Thanksgiving. Okay, we got through New Year's. And I don't want to go into a new year like this. And so now I'm going to call. So then the calls began to increase again after the holidays. Okay? Substance abuse, being dropped on their head at birth, getting a pink slip from work, financial stressors are not the reasons for domestic violence. Not the reasons. The fact that you burned dinner, okay, is not the reason for domestic violence. If you're a male domestic violence victim, okay, the fact that your paycheck was 1 day short this week is not the reason for domestic violence. It's just not. Burned eggs is not a reason. Okay, I forgot to do the laundry. Not a reason. The reason for domestic violence, abusers abuse because they can. That's why they do it. It's all about power and control. Okay? I am Apostle Cheryl Richardson. I appreciate those of you who have tuned in. Please, 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 please share and understand that my mission as a prophet and as an apostle in the Lord's church is I'm not the one that he sends in the very beginning when things are not okay and, you know, you can kind of talk to people and be nice and, okay, that's not, I'm on the bench during that part. I'm on the bench during that part, okay? When he sends me, he's ready for the shenanigans to stop for real. And my assignment is to educate as many people, okay, to ignite hearts, inspire minds, and safeguard destinies. That's it. Ignite hearts, inspire minds, and safeguard destinies. That's my assignment. That's my assignment, okay? To encourage those who are ensnared in domestic violence, to let them know that there's life on the other side of it, that there is a way out, that there are so many moving parts, that they need help getting out, okay? But that the good news is that there is help available to you. So I'm going to go back, when we're done here, I'm going to come back on and I'm going to reiterate those resources. Thank you so much, woman of God, Deborah Herring, for typing for me. I appreciate those of you who came on. Please share. That's what you can do. You can share it on all of your social media platforms. You can sow into Judah's Roar on Cash App, $ Judah's Roar. And if you want to donate through PayPal, you can do paypal.me/Judah's Roar. Okay, it's at the top of the broadcast. We typed it in. The vision that God has given us it feels like it's expanding daily. Okay. We are passionate about getting people free and making sure that people understand that they have value. Christ died for you. You matter to him. You matter to him. And it's not okay that you're being mistreated. Amen. Those of you who have loved ones who are ensnared in domestic violence, we invite you to look at our videos so that you can know how better to interact with them and how to support them, right? And not inadvertently drive them into the arms of their abuser. Amen. This is Apostle Cheryl L. Richardson. We appreciate you. We love you so very much. We are believing God for you. All right. And we are determined that we can get ahead of this thing if we just all work together. We'll be back on next week with another Shatter the Silence broadcast. Blessings to you.